the promo code CHGO when you sign up to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. We're all here. Cody Delmendo, Ryan Herrera, Corey Freeman, and I'm Luke Stuckmeyer, and we delayed it all the way till 4 o'clock today so we could see Seiya Suzuki make his Cubs debut in Cactus League action. We had it all planned out. A big reaction on video as we watch his first at-bat, as it sails out into the bleachers. A home run. We all leap to our feet and cheer. Instead, it was a strikeout on 3 pitches. Happy Friday to you.
Yeah. One might call that not great.
We all know it means nothing, but it was a buzzkill.
You painted a very nice picture of what we were hoping to have happen,
the people falling over themselves to go get the ball, running down the hill at Sloan Park.
I loved being one of the first people, though, to tweet out bust, sarcastically, though.
Yes.
It was anticlimactic, but the reaction video was actually pretty funny. Like, the lack of reaction we really had just kind of made the reaction video that much funnier.
It was typical. I think we were all sort of expecting. We were joking, like, double play on the first pitch or something like that, just kind of expecting it not to work out in our favor.
It happened so quickly. It was over before it started. The Suzuki era. It was 1, 2, 3.
The Suzuki era.
I mean, we're kind of hoping now that at some point during the show, he comes up and does something so we can at least discuss what was going on. Because, I mean, I can't even evaluate anything off of that other than his chain looked nice. And that one time when he looked at the pitch, he looked comfortable at the plate looking at the pitch. Like, it was so quick that there's nothing to even say, yeah, that one foul ball or that, he just missed that one. Or
that first pitch he got, I mean, that was probably the best one he got in terms of just hitting it hard somewhere with all the adrenaline he had as the crowd cheered for him as he came to the plate. Weirdly enough, all sitting down, but,
The best, so far, the best Seiya Suzuki debut story is off the field with him asking David Ross, who's eating Chex Mix, is that chocolate? And he says, no, it's Chex Mix. And he's like, no, in the Chex Mix. He's like, oh, yeah. And then he rubs David Ross's belly with his hand. And Ross is like, he's going to fit in just fine. He's got a personality. Like, he rubbed the manager's belly.
Joe Madden would have loved this guy.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean,
Rossi does too, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Rossi,
I mean, it's great. You would think a guy coming over from another country would have some, like, hesitation or be a little concerned about stuff. First thing he did was tell Mike Trout he loves him. The next thing he did was rub his manager's belly.
He's feeling comfortable.
And unfortunately, the third thing he did was strike out in his first at-bat in the Cactus League. But it's still a cool day for Cubs fans. I mean, now you have another guy you can watch during these last 2 weeks of spring training before they get to Wrigley Field, and something to tide us over for a couple weeks, right?
And he went out there, he was hacking and thrown in there against German Marquez. So, like, the Rockies, a big-time pitcher, and I thought the pitch was a little inside, but, whatever.
We did say
we are
that
already arguing balls and strikes.
We did say that first hack looked effortless.
It did, yeah.
How I described it yesterday. So
it was a smooth, effortless swing and miss.
Exactly. So
that's how you describe his swing, though.
Yeah, that's stuff. If it connects with a baseball, watch out.
So, he's playing today, and hopefully we have better results. The Cubs also reduced their roster to 44, have to get it down to 28. Tommy Nance DFA'd after apparently having COVID. Was that the surprise? Brendan Davis sent down to the minors, so you had kind of mentioned to us yesterday that you believed there was no chance, and you don't think he'll be up anytime super soon in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think, like I said the other day on the show, it's like he's definitely not going to be up on opening day.
You were correct.
Don't think that was ever like a realistic possibility, even though some people wanted to believe it was.
Don't yell at me.
No, I'm not saying like you. I'm saying some people.
I don't even
spring
think
training and the knee injury.
Yeah,
I mean, there was not even time to get hot.
And then I don't think he'll be up before before the first half is over. Maybe post All-Star break or whatever, he might be up. But like I said yesterday, Brennan Davis, he's obviously the future, and they see a future with Brennan Davis at center field or wherever in the outfield. But the Cubs are also in like that transition period where they're trying to figure out what they have with the Michael Hermosillos, the Rafael Ortegas, the Clinton Fraziers, that when, again, that next great Cubs team isn't here in 2022 right now, But are any of these guys possibly on that next great Cubs team in 2023, 2024, whenever that happens? That's kind of what they're trying to figure out right now. And so I think bringing Brendan Davis up when he still has plenty of time to play in AAA or whatever, bring him up right now and take, just take at-bats away from what's already a crowded outfield. I don't think that's the plan, and I don't think that's the way they should go regardless. But if he's up in June, then prove me wrong. But I don't think he's up before the All-Star break.
I think you see it today, too. Like, I know a lot of people saw that he was sent to minor league camp today, and they're, like, kind of wondering why it was so early and all that. But you see it in, like, the lineups they're doing. Like, Clint Frazier leading off, Suzuki, Happ, Contreras. Those are the guys that need at-bats, right? Like, so you're putting them at the top so they can get as many at-bats, get out of the game whenever. And like Ryan just said, you can't, if Brendan's not going to break camp with this team, he can't be playing over Clint Frazier right now. You got to get Clint hot. You got to get Hermosillo, Happ working back from the elbow. You got to get those guys in, let them get out of there. They're not going to play the whole game. Put them in the top 4 or 5 and get them out of there.
Yeah, and then you remember you were talking about yesterday is like if you can, Clint Frazier's 27. If you can unlock that if you can get him towards the ceiling now, that benefits him and the Cubs in the next few years. Where this is the time to do that. This is the time for the Cubs to figure out if Clint Frazier can get close to that ceiling of a number 5 overall pick. I mean, Brendan Davis has 56 at-bats above the AA level. He's only 22. He has plenty of time to if you put him in the minors for 3 months and he kills it there, and then in 3 months you maybe have a better idea of what the outfield could look like, the future outfield could look like with the guys on the roster now. And so then, I mean, at that point, if Michael Hermosillo, if those guys aren't it in 3 months and you can tell, then Jed and Carter can go and say, okay, Brendan Davis is ready, especially if he's killing it at AAA. You don't know that for sure. But, yeah, Brendan Davis is ready. Let's bring him up after the All-Star break. And then you go with that. But, again, this is my own kind of feeling. If he's up before the All-Star break, that would be a surprise to me because there's so many different variables of, like, you want to see what you got in the guys that are on the Major League roster right now while letting Brendan Davis play every single day in Iowa. So that's just my take.
You guys have talked me into it. I'm good with it now. I'm okay with it as long as somebody doesn't lose control of a pitch in the minor leagues.
It's fair.
Where they're working on control.
We got to stop throwing it near Brennan's knees or things like that. That was a real scare. Yeah.
We're gonna have to start wrapping him in bubble wrap or something though, if that continues.
Braylon Marquez sent to AA. Another guy that we thought maybe if things were going right, you'd like to see him at some point this season be a piece in either the bullpen or the rotation. But he also has to get some work. Like he's a guy that does need a little time because he hasn't pitched in such a long time. Like he needs that time in AA, I think. So we weren't thinking he was going to make the opening day roster. So
and
send him down there and let him do his work.
Yeah, I think it's the same situation where he 2020 was a lost season, and then last year was he had that one at the end of September that he came up and pitched against the Sox. I think it was in 2020. Right. But then last year it was the COVID, and he got as the Trib Megan Montemurro reported that he had myocarditis from that, and then he had the shoulder issues, which he said maybe could have been from trying to ramp back up after COVID. So it was like 2021 was just a lost season, and so to say Braylon Marquez should be, and then he barely got to spring training this week. I think on Monday or Tuesday.
Right, COVID again.
Yeah, because of COVID again, and to try to say he should be on the opening day roster or up anytime soon, it's like, again, another player that, hey, he's 23, he's got plenty of time to, work on whatever, make sure he's healthy in the minors, work on what it is. And if he could go with the Justin Steele, the Keegan Thompson, hey, bring him up earlier, but give him a bullpen role, give him a couple innings, let him be that multi-inning guy. Then in June, July, send him back down, let him get stretched out in the minor leagues where he can, have plenty of time to do that. Then you bring him up later in the year as a starter and see what you got, because he could be a very solid rotation piece. I don't think you risk bringing him up in May or June and throwing him at the Wolves when he's still, again, like right now, he's still just trying to ramp back up to even be ready for in April when the season starts.
There's a lot of stuff right now that I think you're seeing that's kind of just a function of timing. Right, and especially with the lockout, the players not able to be in the facilities or talk to their coaches and however they were going about that. In an ideal world, like Braylon is probably one of those guys who has a full winter workout. He's dealing with COVID, so he's behind physically and all of that. And now you've got, when he arrived, 3 weeks left of spring training, like that's just not enough time for him to earn that spot, show that he's got that command stuff ironed out, and for like Ross and Tommy Hotovy to really put him in a plan. Like whatever we think of their competitiveness going into the season, they have to approach it with a specific plan of here's how we plan to win games and try to win the division. And there's a lot of guys where in a different world and a longer spring training and a full off season, maybe they fit the plans a little more, but you have to go with what you can trust a little more with only a 4 or 5 week spring training.
I will say that he did tell us that he kind of worked this off season knowing what he knew from going through COVID and the stuff that came after that the first time. He's like, he worked and built up this offseason, like knowing that could happen again, so that if he did get COVID again, which obviously he did, that when he starts and when he comes back, he is already like in a better place than he was when he came back last year. So that is something that will benefit him and could maybe move his timeline up a little bit, maybe he's a little more built up and ready than we're giving him credit for. But he wasn't working with David Ross and Tommy Hotovy and all those guys over the lockout and stuff like that. So that's 99 days that he lost of being able to be on a plan that, every day kind of, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I'm doing. What should I do? So again, that he lost all that time. He could be a little further along in building up than we think. So maybe that moves his timeline up a little bit, but
he is in Double-A, so it's like, we'll see what the first month and a half, how he does, and see how fast the Cubs move him up to Triple-A. I don't think it's going to take very long after he gets ramped up. The guy's too talented. It's not often you find a power lefty you can throw triple digits. And
they need that in the rotation because of the way the guys are really soft tossers. So, to throw him in the mix would be nice this season at some point.
And realistically, it was always like second half of the season. I think if there wasn't the lockout and you had a normal spring training where pitchers were reporting in February, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and he didn't get COVID again.
Right, and he didn't get COVID. Then I think he probably goes to Iowa and we see him before June, personally. That's just like, if we had a regular spring training, that's where I feel like the Cubs would have penciled him in at, or else I felt like they would have gone and gotten another starter, but they didn't, and because of the lockout and everything, they just kind of were put in a situation where it's like, we have to figure this out later. So
I think Ross and Tommy are just kind of, again, I think best case scenario, he comes up earlier than the second half of the season, but he's in that Justin Steele, Keegan Thompson role that, he's young. We're going to build him up, or we're going to give him that major league experience, but we're not going to put him in the rotation yet. And then, we're going to send him back down and then we're going to build him up. So I think that's more of Ross and Tommy's plan, especially considering the COVID and the late start of spring training. But
it really will depend on where the Cubs are. Yeah. Like, again, if they fuck around and find a way to be in it in late June, early July, and you're like, well, we could bring Marquez up, especially if he's like playing well in Iowa, I would assume by that point, like, not saying they'd put him in as a starter right away, but like, it does raise the eyebrow. It does make Cub fans, consider all, again, this is if the Cubs in fact fuck around and end up competing in July.
Well, it's a 28-man roster once we get there, right? Yep. And Jordan Bastian put out his predicted 28-man roster, and we wanted to just kind of go through it and see this is how he divvied it up. I'll go through some of the names, and where could we maybe differ from what Jordan is thinking. Catcher, he's spot on. There's going to be two catchers. It's going to be Contreras and Gomes unless Willie's traded. So let's just assume it's Contreras and Gomes.
Don't put that energy out there, Luke.
First base, Frank Schwindel. So they got one true first baseman there. Second base, he's got Nick Madrigal. Okay, understand. Shortstop, Horner and Simmons. Do we agree on all these so far?
I think you could put Rivas at first, too.
Yeah. You could put Rivas at first. And
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
So that's another guy that he doesn't have in his 28-man that I know all of us want to see at least the next 2 weeks in Cactus League play just to see what, give him some at-bats.
Yeah.
See what he's like going into the season. See where he's at and then I don't know what happens, but I would like to see him get some at-bats and at least have a shot at making the 28-man.
Yeah, he's had a good spring and like a little insurance for Frank at first base. I
Yeah.
think Rivas is a better defender.
He also platoon, right? Because he's a lefty.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
So
and
just gives you some
Schwindel
more
has
options.
definitely hit better against lefties than he has righties. Rivas, a lefty, is probably going to hit better against righties than he is lefties, you know?
Yeah,
So
so I think just at that point, it's like Rivas. I'm not saying he needs to be on the major league roster, but I think he's another option that if you don't pack the outfield, which the Cubs could go that route and pack the outfield and see what they got out there. But I mean, Rivas can also play outfield. Like he could be out there, he could move between there and first base too. So it's like,
But he's a nice depth piece to
Yeah.
have as long as you're able to store him in the minor leagues.
Yep.
You've got him if Schwindel has an injury or gets a little nicked or something, you've got somebody that you can bring up that is certainly serviceable. So let's put that name aside and say, okay, when we get to the end of this, there's one guy we could maybe substitute, and then you have to find somebody to take off his list. Third base, he has Jonathan Villar and Patrick Wisdom. It would make sense that both would certainly be on the major league roster.
Yep.
Outfield, here's where they have 5. They have Frazier, he has Happ, he has Hermosillo, Hayward, Suzuki. Who don't you see on there for the outfield that you're like, I would like to
Ortega?
go?
I was gonna say Ortega.
Ortega's the guy, right?
Yeah.
Ortega. Which, I mean, he was good in center field, and he actually, I can't remember, I don't have his numbers pulled up, but I remember seeing it yesterday that he hit really well against righties.
900 OPS.
Yeah, something like that, 900-something OPS. Lefties was a lot. It was kind of like that big split between he didn't do well against lefties, but he did really well against righties. Could that have been a platoon with like a Michael Hermosillo? Possibly, but then what do you do with Jason Hayward? He's probably going to be a center fielder with Suzuki taking over right, so maybe that's where it kind of leaves Ortega as the odd man out because
Right.
Yeah.
So now we have 2 names that we could put back into the 28. We have Rivas
Yeah.
and Ortega potentially to kind of slide back and forth. And we don't know fully that Ian Happ is going to be ready to go right at the start of the season. So that's also a possibility that he could end up on the injured list or somewhere, and then now you have another position you can put in there. So there is a little bit of flexibility. Starting pitcher, he has 6. He has the Cubs carrying 6. Hendrick, Stroman, Smiley, Steele, Miley, and Mills. Okay. I mean,
yeah.
without Alzolay, that makes sense that that's the group.
Seems fine to me.
Yeah, and I don't know that's going to be a 6-man rotation because Ross really, I don't think he's, from what he said earlier, like the first day we interviewed him, he wasn't like planning on going to a 5-man rotation. Maybe that's changed, or maybe he sees like, none of these guys are going to be ready to be in a 5-man rotation when the season starts. So maybe that makes it a 6-man rotation. Otherwise, I can see Hendrick, Stroman, Steele, Miley, and Mills as the starting 5 for opening day purposes. While Smiley will obviously compete, he could be a multi-inning guy. But then I do think eventually Smiley is going to be a rotation piece. It just is he going to be ready when opening day comes? I don't know.
Yeah, the pitching part is the part of the roster where it's a little harder to, I guess, like object with, and we'll see if Jordan's right about this. Looking at his list, I don't really have too many glaring issues in terms of what I think they're going to do. And what we want them to do might depend on how many pitchers they carry. And, Ryan, you mentioned this a lot yesterday, and we talk about it with a lot of these guys, the ramp-up period, whether they're able to go 5, 6, 7 innings deep into games, especially the starters, to begin the season, again, is kind of just a function of how this offseason has gone and where a lot of these pitchers are and things like that. And they're probably going to carry more pitchers than you would necessarily want. Be a lot easier if you could look at the rotation of bullpen, trim it down, and just say, it's these guys, here are their roles, that's done. Probably not going to be practical, at least at the beginning, which is going to affect how many options we can play with on the offense.
Yeah, I think he nailed it just in terms of out of the 28-man roster, they're going to carry 15 pitchers. I think that's what they're looking at. I think they have.
That's a lot, right?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, it's a 28-man roster, so it's a little bit different, but that's a lot of pitchers.
Because it was, it was 20. Last year was 26 was a 13-pitcher max, right? So they added 2 players.
Yeah.
Added 2 players to the roster, the active roster through April, and a lot of the starters. You're gonna need a lot more multi-inning guys than you normally would. That's why you add another 2 pitchers on there. So I think the 15 guys or 15 pitchers, whether that's 6 starters and 9 bullpen, 5 starters, 10 bullpen, whatever that is, I think 15 is like the number that I think most teams are going to go after, but certainly the Cubs.
Their infield flexibility leads them to do that anyway, too, because you have guys that can play second, third, and short. You have a lot of mix and match pieces that you can move around the infield.
Yeah, that when we talk about
carry more pitchers.
We talk about Rivas could be out there, but also maybe Rivas goes to the minors or whatever because you could put Patrick Wisdom at first base to give Frank Schwindel a day off. Like it's a lot of these guys are very versatile and can go anywhere, which is I think maybe why again Rafael Ortega you already have a lefty that you're going to need to put at center field and Jason Hayward, and then maybe Hermosillo platoons with him. Ortega kind of just becomes the odd man out there. So, like we've kind of been saying, it's like I don't think there's any like why is this guy not on the roster? Like he should be on the roster. I don't think what Bastian put up is like very far off from what I think the opening day roster will look like.
What about the bullpen? So the bullpen, he has 9 arms. He has Chavez, Efros, Givens, Martin, Norris, Robertson, Manny Rodriguez, Keegan Thompson, and Roan Wick. Any arm on there that you see missing? Tommy Nance was another guy that they DFA'd him, but he had a few moments last year where he was raising eyebrows around, not just in Chicago. Major League Baseball was looking at like, what's up with this guy?
I think the numbers, I guess, dipped though after the sticky stuff thing came
for
through.
Sure.
So maybe that has something to do with it. I do know that when he struggled, he struggled. But when he was on, you were like, this guy is going to be in the back end of our bullpen for years to come. But I don't know. It's just you didn't get enough consistency. I'm not too worried about it because I do think Ethan Roberts is going to be on the team eventually this year.
Yeah.
Brad Wick will eventually be back, hopefully. So yeah, missing out on Tommy Nance, it sucks in this current moment, but I think the Cubs will be fine. Like, and personally, I think if there's anything that we shouldn't worry about with the Cubs this year is the bullpen. They have just found a way to be a well-oiled machine of just finding random dudes to come up and be productive.
Yeah. I mean, you see with like Chafin and Tepera last year,
right? Like
Tepera then 2020,
and no one knew who they were, and what the Cubs did with them earned them like high-end contracts for relievers. If you can, all things considered,
contracts. The Cubs got some solid prospects back in those trades too. So it's like, and this is what even Tommy Hotovy said. He was like last week I think we talked to him, but he talked when you're bringing all these bullpen guys and how much are you going into telling them like, hey, look at what we did with the Chafins and the Teperas, and we turned them like they getting solid contracts from coming through our bullpen. Says whatever we do with our bullpen, and Tommy's like, obviously we don't tell them about the ones that didn't work out, but there are a lot of examples of guys that did work out, and there's
more good than there are bad. You can't fix Shelby Miller. I'm sorry. Like he was what he was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
certainly.
But like I'm really intrigued to see what Manny Rodriguez does for the Cubs in the back end of the pen. We talked about it the other day. I was like, they stopped checking steroids for a reason. Dude looks like a tank. He looked like a tank last year, but now he looks like a tank on steroids. And Roan Wick, I think he's going to probably be the closer. So
nobody you see there where you're like, I wish he was part of that mix, at least as far as the relievers go. No. So it's 2 names that we're looking at where we say, well, these are guys maybe we'd like to see substituted in or at least in the mix. It's Rivas and it's Ortega. That means you'd have to take somebody out or two players out of that list of 28.
Which if it's me, I don't know. Maybe you guys feel different. If it's me, I don't think you do. I don't think that there's.
You're good with the 28.
The 28 that he has on there. Especially maybe the bullpen, you could argue. I mean, like you said, Ethan Roberts maybe could be there, but maybe he's just going to come up later.
Right.
But as far as like what they got as position player wise with Rivas and Ortega, I don't see who you take off that roster and put them in there. I just don't.
It's possible that a spring training injury.
Yeah, injuries
may impact this too, where somebody will slide. Corey, anybody you'd want to?
Yeah, Luke. Again, like
give you the floor.
I think that Jordan's looking at what they're gonna do, right? And I agree.
Yes.
This is probably what they're gonna do. I'm there. There's kind of like, and
we're giving you the keys
for
to
years,
the car right now.
Yeah, like there's a growing contingent that I think is just kind of ready to move on from Jason Hayward, and we've talked about this before. Like I don't think they're going to eat that money. I don't think they're going to DFA him,
No.
and I think that Ross and maybe Jed. I don't know how he feels, but I would guess that Ross really values that leadership. And, again, like anytime we talk about this, it's not meant to, throw Jason under the bus or disregard the value he has brought to the organization in maybe not the typical way we were hoping when the contract was signed, but it has been there in a variety of ways. But we've talked about it, like, to me, like, you played Ortega last year, you saw what he could do, and I would rather make sure that guys like Frazier, Hermosillo, and anyone else are getting the proper playing time to show us if the Cubs have any, maybe not a future star, but
a hidden gem.
Starter, a contributor going forward here.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that I could be convinced, like, what is the value of Hayward being out there on a daily basis? If the veteran leadership is that strong, okay. But my usual response to that would be like, Mike Napoli's in the dugout, like, he can be a coach if he'd like to. You know what I mean? Like, we got to figure out what we have with these guys. The organization's in a transitional spot, and Hayward, if we're all crossing our fingers that Hayward puts up like a 105 WRC plus, he's barely above average, which I think we would all take at this point from him. That's not a worthwhile exercise to me.
And I think if Hayward's contract wasn't so huge, that's a different contract,
yeah,
a
they're
different
not
story.
gonna do it.
But also, I mean, especially the young guy, the Hermosillos, the young outfielders that work with Hayward on a daily basis, just talked about, like, you look at the example Jason Hayward is setting by, a Japanese player coming in, and they want to move him into Jason Hayward, a World Series champion, a Gold Glove right field. They're telling him, we're putting him here. We're putting him in right field. We need you to move. And he does so without, like, a word, which, I mean, I don't think Jason Hayward has ever shown any ego, regardless, since he's been on the Cubs. Like, he's always been that guy that's, like, willing to do, and you hope.
He's a popular teammate.
You hope every superstar player would do that. Like, Kris Bryant did that, obviously, last year. He moved all around the field. Jason Hayward has shown that when Castellanos came, needed to play right field, Hayward played in center. He's done that before, but I think that's also, you're saying, hey, this is our starting right fielder for the last, 6 years, 7 years, and now he's moving to center field because we're having this guy come in from Japan, and we want him to be comfortable in right field. So Jason Hayward is doing that. He's setting that example of, hey, I'm a Gold Glove winner. I'm a World Series champion, but I'm going to go do this because this is what my team needs from me. That's setting an example for the Michael Hermosillos or all these other young outfielders that they're like, hey. And it's the same thing with the Alec Mills. Like, he set the example of, I'm doing what David Ross has told me to do this whole time. Now I'm getting the benefit of that, and it's just setting an example. And obviously Jason Hayward is this big leader. He's a huge clubhouse presence, and everyone in the clubhouse likes him. I think that's just why, you can't get rid of Jason Hayward at this point because you're in that transition period, and you need a vet that's going to kind of move that along.
Well, and it may not be a permanent move either. Like, if he's on the opening day roster, at some point you will evaluate some of these extra outfielders, and somebody will fall off that list, you would assume.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody actually grabs a spot and multiple guys fall off the list because somebody grabbed it, and then it adjusts throughout the season. But I get what Corey's saying. I understand that it makes it easier to evaluate those guys if Hayward's not taking up that spot. But that's going to be an interesting one for the Cubs to balance throughout the season, I think.
It's also a bit more of, like, maybe playing on, kind of looking at the numbers and, like, because Ryan's made, like, those are all great points, and I'm not in the clubhouse, and Ross and everybody, they have to value that. And if they really value that presence, and especially with some of these young guys, that's fine. Just fair warning, like, if he's eating playing time, if Clint Frazier looks good or something like that, and he's eating playing time, I'm going to be mad about it.
Right. How do you balance leadership to bring up the young guys versus opportunity for the young guys to prove that what they can do? That's really what you're concerned about.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, Ortega, for example, like, I feel like it's hurting Ortega more than it is Rivas because I genuinely just feel like he'd be a great platoon with Schwindel, but, it is what it is. But with Ortega, I mean, realistically, if the Cubs are not in it, but Ortega is putting up solid numbers, he becomes a solid trade piece. Like, because he's like in his 30s, like he doesn't really have a future. You can look at someone like Hermosillo or Justin Steele if we're going to the pitching side, or some of these other arms in the bullpen like Manny Rodriguez and Keegan Thompson and Rowan Wick and Madrigal and Horner and stuff, and think, okay, these guys can have a part of the next great Cubs team.
But realistically, at this current moment, like Ortega, it's looking bleak on him being part of that. But he showed he can hit after he got the opportunity last year, so it makes sense to want him to be part of that. And we saw him play all 3 corner outfield spots last year. So I mean, to me, that's like I'm with Corey when it comes to this whole Hayward thing, because it's like Hayward can put up, I guess, 2019 numbers. That was probably his best season with the Cubs offensively. Yep. He could put up those numbers, and the Cubs still won't be able to find a suitor that will take that contract.
Unless you give up a prospect, like
right.
an Eric Hosmer situation.
Right.
Like you're probably gonna have to take on a big contract,
but that would
you get a prospect back from it.
That would not only would that cause an uproar, but also it just doesn't make sense for the position the Cubs are in right now, right? So yeah, it's like I don't know what guy they could replace with. Like I know they're gonna need the arms because of this quick spring training, but I just think they need Ortega on this roster opening day, in my opinion.
I just come back to there's only so many roster spots to go around, and
it's going to shrink from here. The roster's not getting bigger.
But then it's
for a while.
It's just the fact that you also can't just give everyone a chance. Like you're already giving if what Bashan says comes true, which I think it is. I think that's what the roster's going to look like. You're giving Michael Hermosillo his shot. You're giving Clinton Frazier his shot. You're giving all these other guys their shots. There's only so many times you can be like, all right, here's your shot. Like
and they are younger than Ortega.
Yeah, so
that's true.
They are younger than Ortega.
I guess I'm looking more in the present and in the future when it comes to Ortega, because like I said, if you look at this team realistically, do we think they're going to be in the playoff chase in July? No. But if he's having a solid year hitting or having an OPS at 900 against right-handed pitching, a team is going to want that. And I could see it. If they cut him, I could see a team picking him up and then he just becoming an automatic factor. And then you're like, man, the Cubs could have kept him, got that production, traded him. We're sitting here and we're like, Jed, what are you doing? And then,
Also,
then I have to sit here and defend what the Cubs did because that's the guy I am.
Outfield update. Seiya Suzuki went down looking again in his second at bat.
0 for 2.
I don't know that I would have bet on that.
I'm reading on Twitter that it was another people watching live questionable call.
Guys, he's just getting a good look at what Major League pitching is going to be like. He's evaluating.
He should get used to the umpires calling him out on pitches that are not strikes. That's something he needs to adjust to, unfortunately.
Till the robots get here.
Yeah.
All right, let's take care of our sponsors because they support us, and we are very happy about that.
Yeah, our sponsor, PointsBet, where I placed my bet on Villanova -5 last night, is the best way to support
Direct
CHGO.
shot right there.
Is the best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you do that right now, you'll get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. But that's not it. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content. And you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. That's $2,000 in free bets, a free CHGO membership, and a free T-shirt from the CHGO locker, all for making a $50 first-time deposit at PointsBet. If you have any questions, you can email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. You're home for live in-play betting just got even better. Introducing PointsBet's new feature, Live College Basketball Same Game Parlay. For the first time ever, you can build the perfect live same game parlay only with PointsBet. Combine your favorite bets anytime during the game. Want more? You can also boost your live same game parlays. Watch live, parlay live, and boost live with PointsBet. And there's more. And now, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. Luke did it. It's the simplest thing. If he can figure it out, I promise all of you can do it as well. Plus, during PointsBet Match Madness, all users can earn up to $100 in free bets. During each round, just place a $50 pregame wager and get a free $20 live bet to be used for that round. So you could place $50 on Miami -3 tonight, like me and Sean are. And whenever they're down early and you're feeling juicy, you want to take that $20 live bet and place a bet on the money line for Miami when they're at plus money. And when they come back and win by 4, you just double all that money up and you're just feeling absolutely incredible about yourself. You can just,
That's the point.
That's how it goes with points.
That's
bet.
how it goes.
Feel good.
That's
Just
the points
collect
bet
cash.
difference right there. So what are you waiting for once the game starts? Don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700.
I wish I would have just like followed, your bets instead of even just putting any money on a bracket because my bracket's toast. I have one possible Elite Eight team left, and that's it. So I'm just gonna follow the Cody picks of the day going forward.
Well, I do love St. Peter's plus 13 because it is National Peacock Day.
Oh,
I do love a good narrative bet, and I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? So.
That's fair. All right. All right. Please, everyone, if you like what we do, just please, please.
This is a plea.
Please.
This is a plea from
No,
Ryan.
we put out a lot of good content, and obviously with YouTube, we're giving it to you for free. But we would love you all to become members of CHGO, all CHGO.com. We do podcasts, live shows on every team every day. We do post-game shows, especially when baseball season's coming up. We're going to do post-game shows after most games, at least, if not every game.
Less than 2 weeks.
Less than 2 weeks. We got premium written content for members at allchgo.com. You got me. Obviously, I'm putting out good stuff. Putting out really good stuff for y'all. We got dope merch, as Grandpa Stuckey would say. Dope merch for all teams.
Merci.
I'm not even going to try to say that. We got dope merch. Hashtag dope merch. Throw it on Twitter. Free shirt when you become a member, and you get access to the members-only Discord, a.k.a. the CHGO Lounge.
Nice.
How are we looking on the lounge?
I've had no feedback from the powers that be. I see Jake over there, and we've had no feedback on the velvet robes that we've asked for.
Oh, well. But
velour
yes.
velvet robes for the Discord Lounge? No? Oh, it's a shipping
They
delay.
take
See,
time. They're
all right,
custom made,
robes,
hand woven.
currently robes are caught up with all the microchips for cars, and we just
There
can't
you
get them
go.
right now. So
There-
we're still working on it. It's microchips and velour robes that have really been delayed.
All right, but yeah, so we give you all this stuff every day. So if you like what we do, spread the word. Allchgo.com. Become a member. Join us. Let's build a community here. CHGO. Let's do
Couldn't
it.
have said it any better, Ryan.
Very nice. So Matty Lee had an article in the Sun-Times with Kris Bryant. KB not playing for the Rockies today because I guess veterans don't like to usually go to road games in spring training.
No,
They don't want to go the extra 10 miles, so they get it off.
It was funny. It was funny because I tweeted that. Like I saw Thomas Harding, one of the Rockies beat writers, to the lineup. I'm like, I'm not surprised. Kris Bryant won't play the Cubs today. Someone's like, why would KB still care? Like, what? I'm like, it's because it's a spring. It's a road trip. It's a spring road game. Like that's why he was not playing today. That's why it's not a
We're
surprise.
going to see the Rockies in like the first 2 weeks of April.
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't think it matters who.
People would like to create a juicier narrative,
yeah,
though.
but it's
You know
like,
what I mean?
no.
They
Now,
see something.
listen,
like
Love a good
It's something
narrative.
Corey would
Yeah.
probably.
No way.
But
I-
can you
I hate
imagine-
a juicy narrative?
Can you imagine if he played today and Suzuki struck out twice looking and Kris Bryant came up in 2 at-bats and hit 2 home runs?
Oh my god!
Oh,
That'd be
man.
that Coast Twitter would be fun.
Ooh, be on fire right now. But anyways, he had some nice things to say. He did point out that these are the 2 teams, Cubs and Rockies, that were really hot on him going into the draft. He thought the Rockies were going to take him. The Cubs took him before they could get to him. And he said, it's always a special place for me, Chicago. And he talked about that. And he also said it's definitely a different era of Chicago Cubs baseball and wishing them the best of luck, just not against us. And if you're watching on YouTube, you see him there in his Rockies purple jersey. It just looks so strange. The Giants one looks strange. This one really looks weird.
I didn't know that we were going to do this segment, so I'm going to try not to. We're on camera. I'm going to try not to start sobbing.
Now you're gonna
on
sob?
camera here. Yeah.
I will say the pinstripe uni, the home uni they have, I saw pictures of him in it. He looks pretty good in it, so it is what it is.
Did he say it was a different era for the Cubs because he
Definitely a
had seen
different era.
the Cubs?
Oh, yeah.
slogan, or-
It's different here?
Yeah.
It's different.
He'd
here.
seen the
Just
slogan,
a
maybe?
coincidence. Yeah.
No, he also said it's, Chicago's a special place. Loved everything about our experience there. Now we're going to have a whole new experience that we're going to love in Colorado. So best of luck to him. Got his $182 million. Can't fault anybody for taking $182 million.
I don't know if
Or
we-
betting on themselves.
Well, I mean, reports were.
Thank you, Natalie.
Well done.
Reports were like he was getting offered $200 million or something like that from the Cubs. I mean, I don't know if I saw rumors. I don't know if that was actually ever reported. And he
right, I
definitely
think
refuted
he's sort of like denied that.
He refuted it. What did he say? Like after 2016, like that spring, and then that was it.
Yeah, he's like, I'd like to see those offers if they're out there.
Right.
Yeah,
His camp always said no. But yeah, of course, like good luck to him. I mean, Cody and I joked about this a lot. Like there are a lot of Cubs fans that have gotten what they wanted with some of these guys, right? Like they wanted the team to be less swing and miss, less home run heavy. A lot of people thought KB was overrated, or a lot of bad and erroneous things they said about him, and you got your wish. They got a bunch of contact guys, and Kris Bryant plays for somebody else. So a guy that was, I think, from 2015, to 2019. When he debuted to 2019 before the pandemic season, he was the third best player in baseball, behind Mookie Betts and Mike Trout. But a lot of people in Chicago,
according to like WAR, right?
Yes, looking at WAR. Yeah.
No, that's
and
like
you know
just
what?
your personal.
No.
Not just WAR. The eyeball test told you he was right
he
there
belongs
too.
in there. Yeah, and
When
so
healthy,
yes. My official position is I wish him the best. I desperately wish that he was still here, but played out the way it played out.
Yeah.
Closure, Cody.
Yeah, closure. Again, closure.
That's what the C in the shirt's for.
Yeah,
closure. Today.
Closure, because like, again, I tweeted this morning. Like, I just feel like out of the three guys, from a pure baseball perspective, I think the Cubs will regret not finding a way to keep him around the most. Whether you take out all of the stuff regarding like Scott Boras and contract talks and all this. Like, when you really want to retain someone, I think you just find a way to do it. And I feel like I said this about Rizzo the other day. Like, I feel like from a pure, like, just having, like, a good exit, like a not bad blood, not a bad breakup type thing, like, they'll regret that one the most. But they didn't really have a bad breakup with Javi or Bryant. Mm-hmm. It was, like, I think with Rizzo, it's much different with that and that, like, that aspect. But when it comes to pure baseball, like, Kris Bryant is going to hurt the Cubs over the next 7 years in Colorado. And when they trade him in like 2 or 3 years because they decide they don't want to pay him anymore, he's going to go somewhere else, and he'll probably be in the National League, and he's going to hurt the Cubs that way too. Or like Luke said, maybe they trade him back to the Cubs.
Would you rather have Kris Bryant on the roster or Stroman and Suzuki?
I mean, I'm going to take Kris Bryant.
Yeah.
I love Stroman. I love both of those deals, and I think they're going to work into their long-term plan.
It's a good alternative.
Yeah, but I'm a Kris Bryant guy for life. I always was.
The thing is like if you take Stroman and Suzuki off the roster, but you have Kris Bryant, you're taking away the other needs that they did actually shore up. So it's like,
I think like just looking at it objectively, it's like Stroman and Suzuki will probably, like, just for the next 5 years or whatever. I guess Stroman's only 3 years, but for the immediate future, it's like just going to be better off. I think it's actually like less money. No, is it less money? Am I wrong on that? Anyway,
no.
But they got plenty of money to spend regardless.
Right.
But just you have who should be a very good pitcher. You have a right fielder who, if he brings high upside, brings anything over from Japan, like, he should be a really good player. And I just think Kris Bryant. I just think that was I'm not gonna say it was the right time for that breakup, but it's just like I don't know if he would have re-signed in Chicago. I don't know if
that's kind of what I was saying. Is like you take out all of the like you take out all of that and just look at it from a pure baseball perspective. Yeah. I think the Cubs will completely regret not having a player of his caliber on their team.
There's many things he can do. Yeah, I mean that's just but I did tell you I don't like positionless baseball. I said the first show.
Yeah, well then it would maybe fit. It fits this group in a way, but it might be better if like the whole team wasn't not sure what position they're playing. But I think your question, like the comparison, does highlight sort of the issue with this Cubs offseason. Now they obviously, like we talked about the Forbes value, they have plenty of money they could have spent even to the luxury tax to fix this. But when you phrase it that way, like, would you rather have had Kris Bryant or this? And you bring up a good point where it's like, well, then you just have another issue, like.
Then you have pitching is still an issue.
And it does highlight, kind of what they have talked about and tried to be a little honest about, whether we like it or not, that solving all of this in one offseason was going to be a pretty difficult task. They could have spent more money, but it still would have been difficult to get to the point where you were like, okay, check, like we fixed all these holes.
Yeah.
Great.
Right.
We're
Well,
ready
there's
to
a
go.
reason why all these guys are signing 1-year contracts. Like they're seeing, hey, Drew Smiley, are you going to be good for us this year? If not, he just 1-year contract. Same with like Clint Frazier. Was it 1-year contract? I think. Yeah. With him, it's like all these guys are signing 1-year contracts because they want to say like, hey, if you're good for us this year, we can re-sign you next time. That's what the Cubs are saying, and that's just kind of what the season's going to be. It's like there's a bunch of 1-year deals, and if you're not what's going to help the Cubs win in the future, they're going to not re-sign you. Like, that's just what that's what season is.
We got Kris Bryant on the table if you're watching on YouTube.
Twice.
He still
What's this
might be
other
back.
one?
Twice.
Both.
Excuse
Oh,
me.
God.
Is that his glove? No.
It's my bobblehead, though.
He still might be back because we all know the Rockies are the Rockies, and they'll be trading him in 2 years anyway.
He has
no
to
matter.
demand that though, because he's got the
Yes, he has
trades
control
clause,
of
so
that.
he would have to get sick.
Yeah, but
of
when the Cubs have
whatever they're doing,
when the new core is there and
Yeah.
he's willing to come back with his cape on and be the final piece, it'd be wonderful.
he's going to
be a
call
wonderful
Jed
story.
and say,
That would be an insane story.
Brennan hits third. I want to hit fourth. Let's go. Let's ride.
All right.
All right. So yesterday we talked about starting rotation, where the Cubs were going to go round the roster, where they rank in the division. Right.
Yep.
We did starting pitching. We figured they're probably third in the division. Brewers, Cardinals, Cubs. Today we're doing best catchers in the division. We're going to start at the bottom at number 5 and work our way up. 5th place in the division for catching, and
Let Cody
we
read this
reveal it, Natalie. It's the Cardinals. Woo!
Suck it, Yachty. Sorry.
Sorry to Yadier Molina. You're going to be 39 years old, and we think the Cardinals have the worst position for catching in the entire division.
I'll just say I was overruled on this selection.
Oh my! This
was a decision made solely by Cody, but I endorse it.
I also wasn't here when the decision was made.
No.
This might be my favorite moment of this podcast's short history. Yadier Molina is the most overrated baseball player of my lifetime. The end.
The end. And so we put him in at number 5.
I mean, if you're looking I think
It's not
Roberto Perez is with the Pirates is probably at the bottom, but
For sure.
Yachty.
But he's not
I think so.
39.
Yachty, right, and Yachty like an 83 WRC plus last year, a pretty decidedly below average year at the plate, only getting older,
I hope
sucks.
someone
Yeah.
clips this and throws it on the internet for people to see. I need all of the smoke from Cardinals.
Is this
Twitter.
the most overrated player in your lifetime?
Most overrated player of my lifetime.
More than like Jeter?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, more than Jeter.
Jeter
Wait,
has
At least Jeter has
Yes.
3,000 hits.
when he has sort of like a mythological way about him, but his numbers are really quite good.
Yeah.
He's probably overrated defensively, especially later in his career.
But I think he's overrated in that he's he gets
This-
constantly talked
this
about an
is-
upper tier of.
Perhaps, but
anyway,
Yachty,
that's-
the easiest thing that always
I
comes
can't
up
compare
is
Jeter to Molina.
if Yachty
Jeter's way
is
better.
a surefire Hall of Famer, everybody always says, "Well, Jason Kendall had better numbers," and you don't think of Jason Kendall that
Right.
way, and it's true. And then Yachty, for whatever reason, gets a lot of credit for the same stuff that annoys everybody with the Cardinals in general, right? They're kind of aura and playing the game the right way.
Cardinal way.
we can go look at, I think it was against the Braves 2 years ago maybe, where he has a walk-off hit and he's making some obscene gestures
Right.
towards his throat.
Perverted.
I wouldn't say it's respecting the game. So that's why I'm with Cody. I'm totally put him below 5th, put him 6th.
If we could put him
they
6th in
don't.
the division, we
the
would.
Cardinals and Yachty as a whole do not deserve this sort of aura that they have around.
We're saying
them.
he's worse than the backup for other guys. If we put him 6th, we could say somebody's backup is better than he is.
Give me
at
Yan
starting.
Gomes all day, baby.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. If you're taking 2 from the Cubs, technically he might be 6th in the division.
Yadier Molina is the Frank Gore of baseball.
I say all
if you clip that, Cardinals Twitter will find it.
I say
I
all
don't
this
care.
though, but
Cardinals
direct
Twitter.
all of your direct all your tweets to Cody. He wants them.
He blocked me on
feeds off of
Instagram.
them.
You hate to see it. I didn't even curse at him or call him a name. I just told him he was wrong and he's soft and blocked me. I
He
mean,
blocked you on Twitter?
he blocked me on Instagram.
Instagram.
Oh, on Instagram.
On
That's-
Instagram.
that's, funnier than
He's
getting
not
blacked on
active
Twitter,
on
too.
Twitter. I wish he'd block me on Twitter.
right.
That'd be one of the greatest moments of my internet life.
Do it, you coward. Yachty, block him.
Number 4, we're gonna go with the Pirates. Roberto Perez. So that's right.
Yeah, I
That's
think
what we decided.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
think
I mean,
that's
he
fair?
played
They're trying to lose.
44 games last year. He's played over 100 games.
Stallings was their best catcher, and then they traded him.
I mean, he's played over 100 games. I mean, not counting the 2020 season, which he still only played half the season. He's only played over 100 games once in his career.
He was solid in 2019, but I think you're just looking and not necessarily, expecting him to.
I mean, he hit 149 last year in 141 at bats.
He was annoying in the 2016 World Series, which he didn't win because he was on Cleveland. The Cubs won that series. So
and back to Molina, I was thinking for a second, like, if he walked in the building right now, I'd be the only person older than him in this office right now.
You'd have to hold Cody back.
And nobody in here is trying to play Major League Baseball, so.
Oh, Grandpa Stucky's older than someone?
I'm older than Yadi Molina for sure. Well, let's go to the Reds at number 3. We think the Reds are at number 3 with Tyler Stevenson, the former 11th overall pick in 2015. Hit 10 homers last year. There's some promise there. And while the Reds are also trying to lose, they do have some young players, and he's certainly one of them.
Yeah, Tucker Barnhart was the guy before that, and they moved him, I'm pretty sure, as well. So now it's his chance to step in there and make some noise. I've seen the guy hit. The guy can hit. I would not be surprised if in 1 or 2 years he's right up there, top 2.
Yeah, I mean, his actual rookie year last year, played 132 games, 286, 286 average, 366 on base, 431 slugging. I know those aren't advanced analytical numbers, but I mean, just even he's a good player. He's a solid player. I think he's still technically might be a rookie. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but he's he should be a guy that the Reds could count on as a catcher for at least a few years and a solid, productive catcher from what I took from last year.
See how he develops, but I mean, even if you want to look at those advanced numbers, 111 WRC plus, so a little above average, rated well defensively as well. And if we were looking strictly wins above replacement, which I don't even like to do that, but it's an easy kind of way to compare guys. 2.0, like if you look at the guys we're talking about, like that.
Yeah. And he's not 39.
That would put him in the competition
39.
for being toward the top of this list. Yeah. So if he's able to.
And he doesn't cry on
sustain
Instagram.
That, it's just the fact that he's
solid player.
Young. He's 25 years old. Like he has one full season in the big leagues, which is why number 3 is, I think, perfect for him.
So let's just put the next 2 on there. We're going Brewers and then Cubs. And we think that Contreras and Gomes give the Cubs the best catching combination in the division. Now, I will say, this may be the only position that the Cubs win in the division. We haven't gone through the rest, but this is a clear win. Now, they've got some other shots at it, but I think this is the one position where the Cubs have a clear win at one position in the division, where it's pretty clear to me that they're the best.
Wilson Contreras is a top 5 catcher in baseball.
Yes.
I mean, that's not a hot take. That's
he's by far the best catcher in the division, and Yan Gomes is a very nice backup catcher.
I think that the only reason he's a backup is because they sold him on, hey, I don't know if they told him, like, hey, we're planning on trading Wilson Contreras. Like, I don't know that's thing, but they at least sold him on, like, hey, we're trying, we have a DH now. We're trying to make sure Wilson Contreras isn't catching by far the most innings of any catcher in the league. You're going to play a lot. We're going to get Wilson off his feet. We're going to DH him every once in a while. That's why Yan Gomes is in Chicago. That's why he's on the Cubs. He could probably be starting on the Pirates right now. Yeah, if they really wanted him to.
I think you hope for big things from Wilson. I know, he's obviously has to deal with his contract and all of that stuff and try his best to tune that all out. And we've seen that work different ways for different guys. Some guys seem to really be affected by it in a negative way, and other guys, hey, I got a contract coming up. I'm going to go out and kill it. But I'm really, really hopeful that Yan Gomes allows Wilson to kind of like get even higher, because it's been very clear like that he gets worn down catching so many pitches, and they just have not supported him in that way. And Yan Gomes is a nice support system for him. So I'm hoping that not being behind the plate, catching 9 innings every day allows Wilson to flourish even more than we've seen him.
And I think that's why bringing in Yan Gomes is can you name off the top of your head like a better backup catcher in the league? Just like a 1-2.
Not that was available.
Yeah, not off the top of my head. Yeah. So I'm like, he's going to be a very good backup catcher. He's going to start a decent amount, I think, just to get Wilson off his feet and not make him catch. And again, 9 innings a game. Wilson Contreras is obviously the starting catcher. He's, the Cubs obviously hope that he has a great year. But you have Yan Gomes there for insurance, whether that's insurance for a trade, insurance for an injury, whatever. And I think he's a serviceable catcher, obviously, and if say Wilson Contreras gets traded or Wilson Contreras gets hurt, you can throw Yan Gomes in there, and he'll be at least a solid catcher for you.
Well,
versus last year when they
Narvaez isn't he's making
solid.
his way up. I mean,
Yeah.
he's 29 for sure. He's kind of a late bloomer. Started with the White Sox, went to Seattle for a year. But
it's fair they're second.
Rates well
yeah.
very well defensively.
He last year he had a 2.8 at FWAR. He had never been higher than I think he has a 1.9 with Seattle in 2019. But this last year was by far his best year.
Yeah.
Obviously, Contreras was kind of injury prone, or not prone, but plagued last year. And with everything that happened after the deadline, the Cubs weren't trying to push him any more than they had to. So if you look at the numbers from just based off last year, I guess you could somewhat argue that Narvaez is quote unquote better than Contreras. But if you look at their careers as a whole, I mean, at this point, you can say that Contreras is better than him. But I guess that kind of ruins our troll on Cardinals there. But I don't.
Yeah,
I
would take Contreras. It's because we're doing the rankings. It's worth noting that Narvaez is solid, and of course,
we gave him second.
Yeah, they've figured out. I think he's a pretty solid. I think he rates well in the pitch framing stuff, and they know what they're doing there.
Yeah,
right.
I think Contreras is the best catcher in the division. I think that's you can say that, and Omar Narvaez would have more of an argument if the Cubs again didn't add Yan Gomes as their backup catcher. I think just the catching, the situation in general, the Cubs have the best situation at catcher in the
They're
division,
number one.
bar none. No.
And I do have some. I don't want Yadier Molina to feel left out of the conversation. I do have something for him at 39. We got something for him. Something for me. It's something for him.
What do we got?
You want to start your day with a competitive edge, Yadier Molina? Strava CBD coffee is a game changer. It's helped thousands of people improve their overall wellness and quality of life. Strava delivers delicious, fresh, roasted specialty coffee infused with organic, broad-spectrum CBD. CBD from hemp doesn't make you high or hungry, but it does offer you some real benefits that can help you. You'll feel alert, focused, without jitters. Live your day more balanced with less anxiety from Cubs fans and fewer aches and pains. Plus, including CBD in your daily routine can even help you enjoy your more stressful, sleepful night so you wake up feeling your best. The best part, Strava is all about quality. Everything is small batch, fresh, and shipped straight to your door. Strava also offers concentrated full-spectrum CBD tinctures for looking for more traditional CBD format with a powerful entourage of effect of benefits. CHGO listeners can save 25% on their entire purchase when you use the code CHGO25. That's 25% off your entire order at StravaCraftCoffee.com when you use the code CHGO25 at checkout. Discount coupon valid on non-subscription purchases only. One use per customer. Already love Strava? Subscribe and save with the Strava Coffee Club. Strava, you're in control. Save on your favorite coffees and have them automatically delivered to your home or office on a preferred schedule. All right, real quickly.
I would like to report that Herb has clipped a moment from this podcast, and it's about Yadier Molina. So shout out to Herb for starting the war, because I'm ready.
Well, you're getting a lot of love on the comments. I tell you what, Cody, a lot of people are excited for you that you've been blocked by Yadier Molina. It's like a badge of honor.
It is one of my great achievements of my life.
Yeah, hockey, you get the A on your sweater, you get the C on your sweater. You've got the C on your shirt because you're our captain based on the fact that you've been blocked by Yadier Molina. It's very impressive. And who's out there? Like, Ferris is saying it's great. Rachel's saying it's great.
I I put it in my Twitter bio for a reason.
Blocked by Yadier Molina.
I'm very proud about it. So shout out to everyone in the comments. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Before we go, today is the 25th of March. As we head into the weekend, name your favorite 25s in Cubs history.
Derek Lee, no doubt about it.
Derek Lee is the easy one, right?
Right off the bat.
You got any others that, you want to say, ooh, I like number 25?
I'm not good with this.
No, I'm not either.
But I always love Derek Lee getting his shine all these years later. He was a great player, and I don't think we or the organization talks about him enough.
Yeah.
Give us some names, Luke. What do you got for us?
The great Pete LeCoq back in the day.
Great name.
Carl
name.
Tuffy Rhodes, 3 home runs on opening day.
Sure.
Still the
Tuffy.
greatest opening day in Cubs history.
Nice.
Pitching coach Chris Bosio.
I like that.
There aren't too many others on there to really.
All right.
It wasn't a great list.
Well, I'm just going to say with Pete LeCoq, and then I saw that the Cubs, I think they optioned Locke St. John today. It was in that moves. We should do a draft of, like, best names in Cubs history.
Best Cub names.
Because I was even talking about it. I saw Locke
Three Finger
St.
Brown is obviously one.
You see Locke St. John, the locker, and on one of the locker in the locker rooms in the clubhouse, and you see Locke
tongue
St. John.
twister.
I'm like, that Locke St. John was probably the best name that I saw.
Jonas
spring training.
Fargas? Fargas? Yeah, he's on the
Yeah. Was
Yeah.
that last year?
last year.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Locke
sure
St.
he's going to
John.
be in like Iowa this year. But
That is good.
that's a great name though.
I bet he'd like some De Marché.
Maybe
We should send him
Locke St. John.
some
We'll
however
see.
you say it, dope merch.
We
Natalie's giving us the wrap it up. You guys are out of time. This is more than enough for a Friday afternoon.
Just saying, that's a draft. That's a draft topic, possibly.
That is something to think about moving forward.
Best names.
All right. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by PointsBet. Have a great weekend. Suzuki debut, not what we thought, but there's always tomorrow. Fly the W.